Delighted now to be joined by Gort Senior hurler Craig Lally to look back at the hurling action over the weekend. Craig, before we get into the action, I suppose, um, fair to say probably a bit of a disappointing year, would you say, for Gort this year?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, the fact that you can get out of the group is definitely disappointing. Just a slow start probably caught us. We're down a few numbers in the first two games and just come up short against Tommy's and Captagal. And in Senior A, every game is so close anyway. You need to be winning one of them. And we come up against a very good Loughrea team in the third game, and they really put us to the sword. And by the time the fourth game it came, and we got Kilkenarn, and we played fairly all right against Kilkenarn, but even though we did still leave ourselves a chance against Crowell, we just underperformed completely against Crowell, and it's just very disappointing, right? Yeah, when you're looking on now at preliminary quarterfinals and quarterfinals next weekend and not being involved, it's not ideal.
How is this looking on now?
It's tough. It's tough, definitely. And I suppose in the last few years, last 2 or 3 years, like last year we got to semi-final, but the 2 years before that we didn't progress past preliminary quarterfinals. But previous years before that, in the early stages of my career, you'd be always competing in a semi-final or a final. So to be looking on now, it's definitely doesn't get any easier, that's for sure.
And where do you feel you're at, I suppose, as a club? Like, I suppose finishing fifth, came down to that Crockwell game, you came up short. Like, where do you feel you're at? Obviously, you mentioned like 6 significant blows, like from that team against Capitalia last year, was obviously huge blows for you.
Yeah, look, it's without a doubt we're in transition as a club. Even in regards to the panel, like it's like you're probably talking about. We're just about getting 30 of a panel now. A lot of young lads coming through, a lot of 19, 20-year-olds. So in one way, look, it was good this year. They got to see Senior A action back in Senior A this year. So them 19, 20-year-olds were blooded into Senior A. Every game is competition, good competition. So it was good in that way, but at the same time, we've lost an awful lot of experienced hurlers, the likes of Jordan Who, Packy Lally, Mike Mullins, Albert Mullins. They're lads with loads of experience from county semi-finals, county finals, and it's definitely, as games get into the melting pot with 5 and 10 minutes to go, like the young lads, in all fairness, they're giving it their all. But when you have a bit of experience there, like Mike and Albert or Gerard or Packy, they normally see a game out for you. And this year, and then probably the next year or two will be just a big transition period where you just have to get the young lads used to them type of games and used to winning when there's 5 and 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, and like that's really important. Like we're seeing so many clubs now, I suppose, bringing through youngsters. You have to every year to stay competing at the top level. But as you mentioned there, in one way, I suppose you're probably delighted that you're in Senior A, because like there's teams next year who are in Senior B, and I don't think any club really wants to be in that Senior B competition really next year.
No, like, and look at it, I know it's changed next year and it's different, and they're two competitions of their own, and Senior B can't win Senior A, etc. But like, I know the previous 2 years before that we were in Senior B, and I know last year we got a good run and we got as far as the county semi-final, but there's no doubt in my mind that we got a good clipping of St. Thomas's last year in the county semi-final, and I think we were probably a small bit behind in regards to competitive games. Like, yeah, we got over Capitagal in the quarter-final, but that was just one of those days where Everton went our way. We struggled to beat Portumna in a preliminary quarter-final the game before that, and the Thomas's game definitely caught us from. Whereas you look at the games this year, when we played Senior A games, every game was do or die. The first 2 games was just a puck of a ball between us, and you can't beat that. Like, it'll bring on lads, and whereas Senior B, last year we played in Senior B or 2 years ago, like we were beating teams, not that putting down the teams or anything like that, but we beat, say, Ballinderry and Kinvara by double scores, and it's probably not good for the young lads progressing, because I think that's the way it's going to be for every game. And you get to the latter stages and the knockout stages, and it's a rude awakening.
Yeah, but they're in. You mentioned there about the young lads. There's some real young talent coming through, like in this Gore team, and I suppose for you now, it's probably trying to, I suppose, take this year as a learning curve.
Oh, without a doubt, like, and like a lot of them have good experience in underage county as well, and that, like, and they've won bits and pieces, like Jason Donoghue and Paddy Cummins and Nathan Gill there. They're all involved in county panels, and we have more young lads coming through. So I suppose it's just about getting the blend right, and the older lads sticking around and helping the younger lads progress. And And you know, like a lot of clubs at the minute, they have that nice blend where they have a good crop of older lads and a good crop of younger lads, and it's just about getting the team, I suppose, concreting a team that'll be good every day, that'll play the game that we want to play, I suppose, and getting the young lads used to that, because the likes of me and Richie and Aidan and Jason and them lads, we're around long enough now, so we know, but it's just, I suppose, getting the young lads up to speed as well.
Is there a sense, like, I suppose, when you're one of the older lads, like even just, I suppose, putting your hand around a young lad and I suppose talking to them off the field when they're new to this, I suppose, senior setup and just even like one-to-one chats?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, like that's part and parcel. When I was growing up and when I was coming onto the fold at 18 or 19 years of age, like you had the Ollie Fahey's and the Niall Linans and the Jerry Quinns of the world and Andy Cohen, like them lads do the same to you. So you're expected to do that. Like just like I'm sure all the other clubs like Davy Burke or Connor or any of the rest of the lad and Thomas's or the other clubs are doing the same thing. It's part and parcel of it. So like that's part and parcel of getting used to the team. And like if you don't do that, then the young lads won't learn the way. Like so that's just the way it is. And like there's plenty of us there with loads of experience that are able to do it.
And when you came in and you stayed with Gort, you're obviously one of the young lads, and you could probably never imagine being one of the older lads now on the team. But like, what's it like now as the seasons went on, as the seasons are going on, I suppose, for Gort, and you're, I suppose, one of the older statesmen on the team?
It's not getting any easier, and that's for sure. But I was never too fast in my prime, never mind now. But look, it is what it is. Like, you know, it's scary, really, in a way, how quick it goes. You become from being a young lad to an old lad really, really quick, and the years go by. I think I heard Cal there in the podcast last saying it was his 24th or 5th year in the Canberra dressing room as a senior. I think it could be my 19th next year, 19th year in the senior dressing room. So they just come and go really quick. Like, and I suppose like you just have to make the most of it while you're there, really, like, you know, and stay going. I'll stay going for as long as I can until my body says no, I'll stay going. It's just like any older lad. Like I see Ger Farrer for Castlegar this year. Like he's, I won't give away his age, but I think he's close to 40, and like he's producing some of the best performances he ever did in the Castlegar shirt. Do you know what I mean? And there's plenty of examples around like it, like Fergal Healy, Damien Joyce. They went on for years and years. So until I can't stop playing, or until I can't physically move in the hurling pitch, I'll stay going. And I think everybody wants to do the same thing.
Do you appreciate it more, do you think, now, I suppose, representing your club and playing for Gort now?
Oh, 100%. Definitely. Like, I think when you're younger, it's a lot of off the cuff and you're just doing it and you're enjoying the phase, and you don't have 2 kids to worry about anyway, or a wife. So that definitely helps in regards to you can spend more time. But you definitely do. You do, like, and you know yourself too as well. Like, you're literally just holding the jersey and you're that's your phase of a Gort hurler. And when the time comes, you're hanging it up and somebody else is going to come along and take over that jersey, and you're hoping that you leave it in a better place, as the saying goes. So yeah, you definitely do appreciate it an awful lot more as you get older, and like you appreciate how lucky you've been as well. Like, I've been very lucky that I've been involved in good teams that have, you know, I've played in 5 county finals, and I know good friends of mine like that I've been involved in county panels with, like, and they've never even played in a county semi-final, like, you know. So I know how lucky I've been as well. Like, so I think you appreciate that as well when you get to the stages of where I'm at now in my career.
And just interested to see, like, what kind of character have you been? Like, would you say you would have, would you say you have, or you had an obsession like hurling for Gort?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I'd say until my eldest lad Dylan, till he came along when he was 30, hurling before everything. Like, you know, I was just without a doubt. Like, and even I'd say a year or two after, probably until he was about 2 and I left the county panel, I'd say it was number one. Everything, really. Like, no, don't get me wrong, when I was younger, I suppose I was probably a bit wild for first few years, but when I calmed down a small bit, hurling was everything. Like, you know, it was just absolutely everything. And like, there was so many more lads around me. I was lucky like that, like, because they all felt the same way, and it was just, you know, it took up your whole time and it just became an obsession.
And do you feel you've kind of been able to take a step back from that now and not be obsessed, or do you still think it's there?
I know, not near what it was. Like, but like I said to you, like, you when you get older, life changes, and like, you know, either likes my job, or like even the fact of a family now, two kids and a wife, like things change and you just don't have the spare time or the free time to go down to the wall ball or do the runs or going out for 2 hours hitting frees. You just don't have that time anymore. So I suppose the obsession dies down a bit when you don't have the time to do it. But don't get me wrong, when I'm out training, when you go training, you still have the same want and the same drive with when you're doing that hour and a half at training. Like I'm still the loudest at training, roaring and shouting and giving out. Like that hasn't changed in the last 15 years. But I suppose the spare time that you'd like to have down in the field, you just don't get it anymore, unfortunately. And I suppose that comes with the age and that comes with the responsibilities of growing old as well.
Split season introduced this year. I'm really interested to see, like, I suppose, different people's views on it. The majority seem to be for it. Like, as a club player, it's a lot different, I suppose, because you're thinking of the county, you're going from county. But, like, how did you find it? Like, it's safe to say hurling leagues are taken seriously in a lot of counties, but it just doesn't seem to grow the appetite in Galway for whatever reason with the leagues. Like, did you find it an awful long wait waiting for that one championship game? Like, I suppose around, I think it was the start of race week, it kicked off.
Yeah, I think the split season it's a good idea. Without a doubt, I think it's a good idea. Because time's gone in the past when you'd have 2 games in April and then you'd have a break. It's almost like it's 2 different seasons where you're getting to a certain level of fitness for the 2 games in April, and then your fitness drops off because you have to go and enjoy yourself in May or June, and next thing you're getting back to the fitness, and it's like 2 seasons. So I think it's really good. But I think the structure in Galway in this year's league was all wrong, like, because they started playing the league in March, but the league was over in, I think the final was on the middle of June, if I'm right. And then there was a 7-week or 8-week or 9-week lull from the last league game until championship. So you had to go off looking for challenge matches. So, and then the other side of that was, because the league was on so early, you had to go back training a lot earlier than what you should have done, really. Like, so if lads probably got an extra few weeks before they went back training, it wouldn't have made the year as long for the club team, you know what I mean? So I think it's a good idea. But maybe just the structure of it could have been a bit better in Galway in regards to when the league started and when it was over. Like, maybe if they kept it a bit closer to the championship when it was over, it would have been better for clubs as well, because they would have been able to, organize their challenge matches a lot better as well. And the other side of that then as well is when the championship did start, like, I know because the Football Ireland, but then there was a big massive 3-week break from race week into the second round, and like we even played a challenge game in between that, like, which is unheard of. You played a challenge game in between championship games.
And like with challenge games, they obviously give you something, but it just doesn't replicate what championship brings. But like 8-9 weeks there, like I'd say that was a tough situation, like, to manage, because you're trying to keep lads interested as well. Like, and it's very hard, like, when you're talking that space of time.
That's it. Like, and you're after doing probably a block of maybe 4 or 5 months of going fairly hard for league matches and trying to get your fitness up, and then you have a 7-8 week block, and then
You're nearly starting the preseason again, like, within that period.
You are, of course, and then within that period, then you have a lot of people who are going on their summer holidays. Do you know what I mean? So club players are now going on their summer holidays because you have no league matches, and off you go. Like, so that was probably another factor. And then, see, the other factor then was that a lot of teams, a lot of counties around you, like Clare and Tipperary and these teams, they had already started their championship because they were out early, so you couldn't get challenge games. So it was awful hard to get challenge games on top of that then as well.
Yeah, no, it's definitely seems with that structure that maybe something can be done to improve it. But looking at the action, just before we do touch on the preliminary quarterfinals and the hurling quarterfinal draw, there was 2 other finals up for grabs. They're both streamed on Saturday. I thought it was just great though in the hurling championship over the weekend. Local feisty affairs, really.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was brilliant. Like, and even the 2 finals, like the fact that it brought up 2 neighbours, it's just brilliant. Like, and even a few the Premier quarterfinals have close enough neighbours, like, it's just brilliant. And as I was saying there, like the fact the weather has kicked in now and the ground has got a bit soft, it always adds to those a bit, because it tends to cause a few more close games, and the shoulders start going in when the ground gets a bit softer, but that adds to the tension. But no, look, it was great, and like, it was great for the junior and intermediate. It was great to see those 4 teams in finals. Definitely, it was it's nice. Definitely see the 2 teams that won. It was a nice season coming up as well, because I know they've been trying for a while.
Yeah, Ballygar, they've been trying for a while, and like if you're being honest, I think they already lost to Scanham on Belly twice this year. Third time lucky, you could say, but like they really did defy the odds there because most people were kind of tipping Scanham on Belly to make the breakthrough this year.
Oh, without a doubt, like yeah, and like I just even with Ballygar, like they've done some great work underage there down through the years. Like you've seen good teams coming through there. There was a good under 14 team there last year, or 2 years ago, and they're really competing in A. Like so, it was great for them as well, like for the progression of the club, as it would have been for Scahan and Niall Healy as well. I know he was involved with them, so it was great to see. Like, and they did very well to hold on for a finish. I was just watching, I was following it there and watched the score. Like, and they really came at them there. I think it's 1-4, 1-3, or 1-4 in the last 10 or 15 minutes. So they really did well to hold on for a finish.
Stephen Lohan for Ballygar was definitely someone who caught the headlines there. But like Craig, you're talking about conditions. It was absolutely horrendous in Dublin Park on Saturday. I was just watching the streams and like it was just horrendous.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, look at the tear, and that's just the way it is now this time of the year. But for a final and something like that, like, and I suppose two teams have been looking forward to final for so long and then playing them conditions. But look at, I'm sure now in Ballygar when they went home and the homecoming and Saturday evening, they weren't too worried about the conditions.
Isn't that it though? Like when you're thinking of a championship final, you're nearly thinking of a dry sod, the carpet, and then just weather like that comes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's, I suppose that's the joys of the Galway Championship, isn't it? Really, when it hits into October, you're talking about that. So you're talking about two different championships and two different pre-seasons. Like there you are as well. Like it's like the group games are so different to when it gets to knockout stages in Galway as well, aren't they?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like even it's release, I'd say, for Climber, like because they can say they didn't think about last year's defeat, but I think it was always really on their minds, and to get back there. And I suppose if they're to look at the game overall, it probably wasn't their best performance, but just the way they dug it out, and I suppose not at their best, but still got the job done.
Yeah, look at it. Without a doubt, like they definitely deserve to come up. Like they've been really to the forefront there, the intermediate champion for so many years, and like there's a few old stalwarts there as well, like who played their part. Him and Duane, I heard of him back in the day, and like it's just I was delighted for them as well to see, like, in such a tight match as well, as you get in a local derby like that. Like there was very little between them, and to come down to such a tight margin. But no, they were delighted, and I just been following one or two of them there on Fahin, a few of them on Snapchat for the last couple of days, and they've really enjoyed the celebrations as well. So they have.
And we forgot to mention last week, best wishes to Niall Fleming for me. It's just horrendous what happened to him in the semi-final. Like you couldn't imagine it at all.
Oh, I know, best wishes to him. Yeah, like, geez, lovely prospect coming through as well. Like, so just a freak one.
Yeah, no, definitely a freak one. And I suppose with Climber now, make the jump up to senior into Connacht Series with the Mayo and Roscommon champions. There's obviously release, but like from your own experience of winning county titles, the celebrations and everything go on for a while. But there probably is a sense now to try and kind of push on in this series because they're up to senior after this.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, and it's more than when you do win. Like, it's, you don't know when they're going to come around again. Like, so you try and make the most of it. And look, obviously, as you said, like after last year's final defeat and probably the last few years coming close, like they were thereabouts for a while. You try and celebrate it and enjoy it as much as you can, but at the same time, maybe in a week's time again, settle down and just go at it again for the winter. And I know they come at it, the semi or the Connacht one will come on probably in the next 2 weeks, is it?
Yeah, I think around then you won't feel it coming then.
Yeah, so look at, I suppose, get over that first and then start worrying about the rest of it. Like, which, ourselves, you have to enjoy these things as well, but in the back of their mind, it is nice to, when you do win, to try and go all the way.
Owen McAvoy, Climber free taker, is definitely someone who's stood out through this championship. Like we're probably going to mention it when we get onto these senior games, but the valuable free taker is so underestimated at this time of year.
Unbelievable. Like, and as essentially the weather, the grounds got so soft, there will be more freeze. Like, and like I think I was watching it there. Like he got maybe 7 or 8 frees as well the last day, like, which is nearly 2/3 of their scores from freeze. Like, and I think the most, and we will get onto, like, but the most common thing about the games over the weekend was the percentage of frees that were scored of the overall tally. Like, and it's definitely it's going to be a massive factor going into the quarterfinals next weekend and going forward. Is if you have a good free taker, it counts for so much, and that was the case for Killimor. Like, you know, I think they definitely, I think they scored 7 or 8 frees out of I think it was 13 that they scored. Like, so it was massive. Like, and as you said, in those conditions as well, it's not easy to hit them. So.
Absolutely, and we'll hope in the coming weeks to speak to someone from Ballygar and Killimor before they do get involved in the Connacht series. Craig, you've played in the senior championship this year with Gort. What have you made of the Galway Senior Hurling Championship this year?
Yeah, it's been good. Like, and it's been very competitive. I think, like overall as a whole, I think that there's been a lot more teams that have stepped up to the plate this year. The last few years, Thomas's have probably been a good bit ahead of the rest of the pack, really. Not that they aren't now, don't get me wrong. I think they're definitely still favourites, and I know they're probably just timing the run now. I know Shane is back there, Shane Cooney's back, and they're starting to come together. But I definitely think that the rest of the pack, I think there's definitely 3 or 4 teams at the minute that are close enough to them. In our own group there, Loughrea were absolutely flying it, and they've really got a good 15 now at the minute, very little weak points. They've 1 or 2 good subs to come on if they need to. I think they're very strong all around. Then the likes of Turlough who really, they're starting to gather pace now again. I think they've, talking to Franny there a few weeks ago, that he just really, really impressed with his under 20s coming along. There's 1 or 2 of them stand out. I'm sure we'll talk about them later on, and they've really added to the team along with the older heads. And the other team I really, really like there, I think they've really, really good setup as Sarsfields. I just think that they have a really, really good blend there. The young lads coming through, and the older lads, I just think that they're very strong all around. And that challenge game that I was talking about there, that we played in between the first round and the second round, we actually played Sarsfields over in Bullon. And I left that day thinking it'll take a really good team to beat Sarsfields this year in the Galway Championship. I just thought that like they brought on 4 or 5 subs that day, young lads. I've never seen them before, and they adjusted to the play that they were playing. And I just thought leaving, I said, geez, they had these lads of 19 or 20 lads that could really push any team and go. So overall, I think it's good that way, because it's really competitive. I think the next crop of teams, I think there's very little between the next 10 teams or 6 to 8 teams. I think even the lads that have come up from Senior B, the Portumnas, the Ormores, I think that they're really strong as well coming up. Like, so I think overall, I think you probably have 4 or 5 teams out in front, and I think the next group of teams is very little between them on any given day.
Quarterfinal draw. We will get on to talk then about the preliminary games, who stood out, and the rest of it. But St. Thomas's Captagal, Sarsfields Portumna, Tommy Larkins Cambridge, Turlough Loughrea. Unbelievable draw, really. Like, it's like, I know that people probably listening to this and they listen to it next week and they'll be trying to get a few little hints for a sneaky GA accumulator or something. But like, for that, like, you'd nearly be advising people to stay away from all those games.
It's unbelievable. Like, and like the quality of the 8 teams that are left, like there's on any given day, there's very little between them, and like they could go anywhere. Like Thomas's Cappy, like I know, like Cappy have been involved in the last 5 years. They've been just so close at so many times. I've been at nearly every game. They played Thomas's 2 or 3 times in semi-finals there. They're just, and on their day, Cappy will beat anyone. Like, they've such a blend of good hurlers, and they've added, like, even since we beat them last year in the quarterfinal, the semi-final year before that, like Liam Collins has really come of age since that. They have a few more young lads coming along. They're really one.
Just there, sorry to interrupt you now, but like, Liam Collins is getting talked about every week on this podcast. Is it too soon to say Liam Collins is in the Galway senior hurling discussion, or do you think it's time now?
I think it's time now, but that's only my opinion. But I just think he's a really, really good hurler. I've come across him now the last 2 years. We played him this year, obviously, in Loughrea, and we played him last year in the quarterfinal. And I've been very close to him, like, not marking him because I wouldn't be keeping up with him, but I've been close to him in regards to, he hasn't been too far away from marking someone else. But I just think he has it all. Like, he's really quick, he's fast, he's very intelligent on the ball. Like, he definitely is. He's one we'll be seeing in a Galway jersey in years to come. Like, and I just think that he's a game winner for Capitagal on his day. He's that good.
Yeah, even the other quarterfinals there, yeah, Sarsfield's Portumna, Tommy Larkins, Cranbridge, and Turlock Blackray. It's just set up really nicely now for next weekend. But I suppose just before we do touch on the preliminary quarterfinal, you were talking there about following games and what's the score. One game that wasn't streamed and I was following Ashford and Tina Aberdeen relegation playoff. It was like, and I'm not sure you see the video of the conditions that was in as well. But Haskell just getting over the line, 113 to 112, and like Tina did have the chances to steal it as well at the end.
Yeah, the freeze at the end. Yeah, like it's just it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that they've been relegated. Like they put us down to senior B there 2 years ago. You know, and like I know a lot of them lads very well. I'd be good friends with Shane there and Porrick and Paul. Like and like they're such a strong club, and like it's hard to believe that quality of players that they're not there in senior next year. But look, I know they have a good underage structure coming through as well, so I'm sure they'll have high notions of bouncing back again next year fairly quick. But yeah, like fair play to Haskra. You know, they really grinded out, and I know Cullum touched on it there last week when he was on. Like, and when you have 3 game winners there, like Cahill and Porrick and Sean, like it's them lads can win games here very quick as well. Like, and I know in them conditions, like it was only a point in it as well. It was, you know, them type of games, them type of conditions. That's the way it's going to go. So just who wants it more, and they did on the day, you know.
Yeah, like as you mentioned there, the Manions, you would have played with them. What kind of leaders are they? Is it quietly going around their business and they just go out and get the job done, or like what kind of characters are Porrick and Cahill?
Yeah, like I suppose Porrick a bit more vocal than Cahill. Like, you know, Porrick he'd be telling you where to go, and he'd be more of a leader in regards to talking. Whereas Cahill would just go about his business. Like Cahill, I'd say, is probably the one of the hardest men I've ever marked. Like he's just so quick and fast, and his hurling brain is unbelievable. Like, but he will just like he can score from 100 yards, 110 yards. He's some strike of ball, and like between the two of them, like, and they're so good at finding each other on the ball as well. So I can imagine. I don't think we've played them in club now, but between the two of them, find each other in club hurling. But they're two brilliant lads. Like, you know, and they absolutely live and breathe hurling. Like, and you know, they're good crack too when they're not hurling.
To touch now on the preliminary quarterfinals, you're saying you were watching the 2 games on Sunday on the stream. The way Turlock went about their business is really impressive. Because like you felt it was a dangerous one because there's such a threat there with Ormore. It was a one shot at nothing, but you could maybe tell that Turlock were going to be tuned in because I suppose last year being caught at this stage against Killimor.
Yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, like very like such a freak result last year, you could say, really, in a way, like, because we were going, John, they were going so well. But like, I think that this year, I think they're really focused. They're timing the run very well. I said to you, just I think the input of the younger players this year, the Dara Whelans and the Sean Hannons and these guys, they're really stepping up to the plate, like, and they're becoming the leaders on the day, like, and I just think that Franny, his thing's going really well there at the minute. Like, he's a good blend of he's a great spine down the middle as well. Like, I think Lofty there, Sean Loftus, is flying at a centre forward. Marked him in a league game there about, I'd say, 5 or 6 weeks before championship started, and it was just impossible to mark him. Like, I think he's really found his position there at 11. Johnny, from for the first few years there of his county career, he was playing cornerback and wing back in midfield. But I just think as a Roman 11 there, he just floats around the place, and he's so good in the ball, and he's a great striker as well and accurate. So, and I think he's taking on the responsibility, taking the frees as well. Like, I think that's added to his game as well. Like, he's definitely he's thriving at that as well. Like, so all around, he's definitely the main man there. Everything goes through him. But as I said to you, they've really got a good blend there. And of course, then you have the older heads like Dahi and Ronan and a few of the older lads there like Jamie Holland, them lads, Sean Linan. They have it all. Like, I actually seen their intermediate team play over on our pitch against against Kinvara, was it, or in the start of the year, like, and they had lads there like playing in that team. I was saying to Franny here a few weeks ago, like, they had lads playing that team like that would be good enough for most senior teams. They just have a massive crop of players to pick from, like, and like that I said to you earlier, like they will be hard stopped as well this year, like, and they have a head of steam now and they have momentum. So they will. So, but that'll be a cracker of a game against Loughrea.
Tom Quirk as well seems to be another one. He got the goal there to start, but like, it never really felt like or more we're going to really win that game.
No, and like I suppose like a lot of the were more lads, the like Niall stood up very well, did well at times. Garage did very well. I think when he came out to centre back, he really got going. But I suppose Turlock got the goals at the right time, really, as well, like, you know, and that kind of, I know Fergal's goal especially, like, that was, it kind of killed all the momentum that Ormore had going, and they really pushed on to look more from that. But Ormore will be happy with the year as well. Like, they blended in some good young lads there, like Anthony Keady came on there, like, he was very good. You know, there's a few other young lads there that they brought along, and I they can be happy as well. Like, and like that, like, they have an unbelievable underage structure coming through there. Like, so in a few years' time, they're competing in minor A finals, they're competing in under 14 A finals. They're going to be really strong in a few years to come.
Yeah, minor A final to come up, and getting the likes of Rory Burke into that team is definitely going to strengthen them. Looks like a really good prospect. Just a question that did come in for you, Craig, from Ian Latanian. He was just wondering what happened to room 111 on your stag.
That was his room, and you'll have to revert that question back to him because he never actually told me. So I can't wait to get to the grand piece, but anyway.
But yeah, no, Turlock definitely contenders for you.
Oh yeah, definitely 100%. Like, they've been thereabouts the last couple of years, but I just definitely think with the input of the younger lads, the under 20s, and the fact like that the experience they got from the under 20 final as well. I think that'll just add to them. And look, I do think they'll have a big say before the year's out.
The other game that was on as well on Sunday, Clanbridge Ardrahan, a lot closer really than most people probably would have thought.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like, and like, I suppose, like, the Ardrahan got a bit of momentum as well going, like, you know, and they had a great win the week before. And I think they definitely took great belief from that win. And maybe as the day went on, even though I know they stuck with it, like, maybe the legs caught up in them a small, but as the legs, because, you know, it was such a long game the week before. But I know Tam won't agree with me in that now, but at the same time, they did very well, like, you know, and I suppose frees probably killed them a small bit. And you know, they gave away a few frees at fighting stages, and I know when it was really close there, Evan popped a few long range points that probably killed him a small, but I think he got 2 or 3 points in a row there, when it was real tight, and that, like, but like that now, like, you know, they can be fairly happy with their year as well. Ardrahan, like, you know, they've progressed really well, like, and like that they've introduced a few young lads as well.
Yeah, like as you mentioned there, Evan Nyland, like late, it was late points that probably maybe flatters Cambridge a bit, because it didn't really feel like they were 7 points the better team.
No, not at all. No, like, it was, like, I suppose the fact they tagged on a few at the end there, like, it was tit for tat, like, and like, I suppose going in at half time, you would have thought it could have went anyway. But just, I suppose, just when it came down the business in for the last 5 or 10 minutes, I think the legs just had Clanbridge a small, but there was John the Rep tap on the points, and I think that was no fault for Ardrahan, but I think the week before probably took it out of them a small bit. Like, you know, even the likes of Mark Kennedy tapped on a point or two there, like, and Evan and Gavin Lee pushed on for 2 points, I think, there in the last 10 or 15 minutes. So the younger, fresher legs probably pushed them on.
Yeah, probably strength and depth in their panel, you could say, as well. For Clanbridge, it's one thing that they definitely do seem to have.
Yeah, without a doubt, like, they're like Turlock Moore, you know, and it's like that as well. Like, they've probably 25 players, or maybe, like, after the first 15, there's definitely 7, 8, 9 players there that could be good enough to make most senior teams around the county, like, and the subs they're able to bring on are definitely definitely helping them. Like, but like that now as well, it's no more than Turlockmore. They've had a great input of underage and the 19, 20-year-olds. As I mentioned, Gavin and Mark and Evan, like they're all stepping up to the plate now and they've a few years experience, especially Mark and Evan.
Yeah, even like if you're looking at the subs that come on, Niall Allen, Armstrong, David Lee, like there's experience there as well, which is hugely important. Like, because they're like, people still forget how young this Clanbridge team is.
Oh, without a doubt, like Niall and Allen are around a while now. They've a good bit of experience, especially Allen. So to be able to bring on them, like, and I suppose the only thing is like a lot of the last 2 or 3 years will have brought on that Clanbridge team a lot as well, especially last year's county final. You know, and like I suppose the want as well to get back to another final. They're starting to grind out results as well. Albeit I know that not so much against Thomas's, but like I'm sure that'll be on the back of the mind going forward for the rest of the year as well.
And for Ardrahan, like previous years, they haven't had as good as years as this. Promoted to senior A as well. Like they're obviously not going to be happy that they were beaten, but they'll have to be happy with that year, as you said.
Oh, without a doubt, like yeah, and like I know they restructured their team as they went on in the year, like, and they definitely will be happy with that, like, and especially the tight victory there against Athenry, like that'll bring on spirits as well for next year. And like I said to you there, they have a good underage coming through as well, and a few older lads like Tan and the lads as well that'll stay driving on, I suppose. And you know, like they'll have to be happy with that, and you know, senior A to look forward to next year.
Then the two other prelims on Saturday, Captagal, Mike Cullen. People were kind of wondering, could Mike Cullen take another scalp? But it's just one I felt last week going into it. Experience, know-how, they've been there, just seem to hold a bit of an advantage for Captagal.
Yeah, and like that now as well. I was watching that one closely as well, and it was very close at half time. And I just thought, geez, maybe the fact that it was close to half time, the conditions that were in it, maybe it'll be a struggle in the second half. But they really pushed on at the start of the second half there. They got a few points early. I think Dan Nevin was popping them over there, and I think
6 points.
6 points for Dan, yeah. And like I think there was I think Liam got a few frees there as well, like, and it was they just really
him as well, yeah. 12 out of 17 from them too. So
that just shows, like, so like and I think I was listening as well, like, and was doing well as well. So like they look, they're seasoned campaigners as well. Like when it gets this business in as well, like they're very seasoned. And I suppose Mike Cullen have to be absolutely delighted with their year. Like, they set out what they need. They were in bonus territory, I suppose, the weekend. They set out what they needed to do. So I suppose when they probably tipped on a few points ahead, Captagal at the start of the second half, they probably gave in a small bit, Mike Cullen, but listened to it anyway. And but like as I said to you, no doubt, Mike Cullen have to be absolutely delighted. And as I said to you, no more than or more, they're really coming in underage as well. Like, so Mike Cullen will be a driving force in senior hurling in a few years' time.
Do you think around this time of year, does it matter about performance, or is it solely we're through to the next round, job done?
I think preliminary quarterfinals, and semi-finals, just get the job done. Like, I obviously I know you want a performance without a doubt. Like, you need a performance, but like 1 point wins, 2 point wins, just get over the line, especially in them conditions, because you go out every day and you're not even sure like what sort of like game plans go out the window. Like, so as you said on Saturday with them conditions, it's just absolutely great and work rate that'll get you over the line. Like, there's no such thing as a lovely ball into the corner or anything like that. Like, that goes out the window. So you can prepare all you want this time of the year, but like I remember we played a county final in 2014 on the 14th of December. Like, so it goes out the window. Like, balls start getting stuck on the ground and all that. But and a win is a win, like this time of the year. So I wouldn't be worrying. Like, the stats men aren't going to be too busy in regards to what type of ball you hit in or what type of runs you make, as long as you get the win.
That's what it feels like now for Captagal. Like, there's probably areas that they feel they need to improve on, because it did take them a while to get going against Mike Cullen. But I don't know. I feel like they're within their group. I think they're going to relish Thomas's.
Yeah, and look at and the other side of that as well, I suppose, is the last few years Captagal have been going in probably favourites for a lot of their games come quarter-final, semi-final stages. Whereas without a doubt, like they're going to be underdogs, going to be written off coming in here, so they've nothing to lose really as such. And like they're a serious season campaign team. Like if you go from James all the way up along, like you have Decky Cronin there who's flying at their cornerback, probably one of the most solid cornerbacks in the county, or one of the most solid backs in the county for the last 5 or 6 years. You've Jan Mannion, you've Dan Nevin, like you've the Garveys, like, and then you have the two, like you've Lehman and the Collins brothers, like
Niall name, yeah.
Who's flying it as well, like, you know, it's in forward, like you've a really good blend there, but it's all about clicking on the day for them. Like, and as I said to you, if they click on the day, like, and they've done it, I've seen them do it for 50 minutes in the semi-final and lose the last 10 minutes. But they won't fear Thomas's, like, at this stage of their career, because as I said to you, they've all been through it all before in quarterfinals. So they'll go out with a real belief that they can beat Thomas's the next day.
A man called Joe Canning catching the headlights for Portumna over the weekend in their 3-point victory over Crofwell, 210 to 13 points. Yeah, I seen the goal actually on Buff's page. It was great.
Yeah, it was good to see it. I questioned the steps right from him by one sentence. But no, look at it. As Cal said there last week, like anyone with a Joe Canning in the team, it's just, it'll stand. And like I think did he get 1-7 or 1-8 the last day?
1-8, yeah.
Like I said to you, this, like he's just that goal, like you could write him off of your pearl, like, but he just that rolled back the years, and he was just unbelievable the way he finished it off. But like he's getting great support, and he said it. I was talking to him Saturday. He'd say it himself, like the more than the other teams, they've had real, like they're under 20 team that won the county there 2 weeks ago. They've got great input from them lads as well, like, you know, and then the older lads, I see Martin Dolphin Dolly there was flying it. Conor O'Hare had a great.
I think the only worry there is Martin Dolphin came off injured on 21 minutes, so I don't know what's the extent of that injury now.
Didn't hear now either. But even Andy did, I know, he had a role there to do as well on Mono Tom Monahan. So like they seem to have got a good crop of young lads coming through Portumna, and I think that's definitely aided them. And so it was always going to be tight between themselves and Crowell. But like that, as we said at the start of the game, like it was freeze. It came down to a lot of freeze. I think Joe got 7 points from freeze or something like that out of the 10 points. So
yeah.
You know, it's just the way it is. Like, and like we talked about at the start of the show about having a good free taker is so influential now going forward and for the rest of the year. Like, and who better than Joe Canning to have in your side for freeze?
Obviously, there was a lot of hype initially about Jack Canning when he came out of minor, and it was probably unfair, but there's probably going to be hype ultimately when your second name is Canning and you're playing at the top level. He's moved back now to wing back, and even the last day, I was just really impressed with him aerially, like even some of the clearances when Portumna are really under pressure in that game.
Yeah, I look at it without a doubt. Like I played against wing back there last year. He has it all, strength wise, physicality. Like he's the hurling brain, the knowledge, and he's playing really well there at wing back. Not sure why he was moved back out of full forward, but I suppose at the time I think they were probably lacking a few backs, and he was brought back to strengthen it up, and he's doing really well. He's actually going really well this year. So like he's like that now as well. Like he's around now 4, 5, 6 years. So he's pushing on this year now as well to be really showing a face for I suppose putting his hand up for county selection as well.
Would be a great addition.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like that now, I suppose he was involved 2 or 3 years ago, so I'm sure he probably has keen interest in going back in there again.
And with like, I was talking to Chunky Hayes there over the week, and he was saying like that they've got through, they're in the last 8, and like as he said, like they're obviously coming up against Sarsfields, and Sarsfields are going to be favourites, but like the amount of people that ripped this Portumna team off a few years ago.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like, and we played them last year in the preliminary quarter final, and I tell you, like it's the way they have the team going at the minute. Like, and Chunky and Ollie and Eugene McEntee and Damien Coleman on the sideline, like they're definitely worth another 2 or 3 points in the sideline. So that's for sure. Like they just have them revved up from minute 1 to the final whistle. Like, and And like it's exactly what you want to see out of your team. Like they just have him working for everything, every tackle. Chunky's nearly in like you'd nearly swear he's part of the tackle when he's in it. But like they're doing a real good job with them. And I tell you, like that under 20 team that they've coming along, they've brought them in nice, you know, like, and as you said, all the talk 2 years ago about how they were finished and they'd be down senior B or they'd be down intermediate and blah blah. They've written off all that, like, and they've really answered it. And like I think that, like, albeit I thought Saracens would be very hard beat. I do think Saracens would be very hard beat, but I tell you, this Portumna team, the way they're going and the momentum they have at the minute, you couldn't write them off.
County champions for you, Craig?
County champions. Look, it's very hard to look past Thomas's, without a doubt. Like the proof is in the pudding. Like the experience the last 4 or 5 years, what they've done. Albeit I know David Shirley is a big loss. He's a great lad there. He was a great player for them the last few years. But I just think that they definitely have everything, like, you know, and they have experience, which is the main thing. And they're starting to get going again now. I think they're really, like, the lads that are been to the forefront for the last few years, James Regan, Derek Burke, as well as Davy and Connor and all them lads. And of course Shane is back now as well. They'll be very hard beat. If I was to call it, I think will run them really close will be either Sarsfields or Loughrea. Definitely Sarsfields or Loughrea, and Turlock Moore won't be far behind them. And saying that, no, I'm not writing off any of the rest of the lads either, because in them quarterfinals, any one of them teams go in. I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy Larkins. I wouldn't be surprised if Portumna won. Or Cappy. It wouldn't surprise me one bit.
And who impressed you most over the weekend, like performance wise, that like really stood up, that was the standout hurler?
See, like, I suppose, like, just varying from the matches, like, I definitely think I've been really impressed with that Dara Whelan from Turlock. I just think he's been really, really good. Like, he just, the way he bombs forward with the ball, I think he's been really good. Sean Loftus, this championship, I think, as well for Turlock has been excellent. I think he's really just grabbed the team with the scruff the neck from centre forward. He's got some great scores. As said to you, with the free taking, he's to over the free taking. I just thought he's been really good on that front. Then on the Clarenbridge match, I just thought Evan finished very strong when he was needed. He got some cracking points, some 60, 70 yards out when the team really needed him. Like, you know, it was great to stand up. I think Mark Kindy's been having a great year for Clarenbridge. He's put up some big scores from play and worked really hard. So I suppose that, without seeing, they're the two games I've seen streamed, so it'd be hard for me to comment on the other ones without seeing them, really.
But yeah, no, set up really nice for quarterfinals, and I suppose we're all just itching now to see when they'll take place. You'd imagine Kenny Park, but those fixtures will be released quite soon. That's all on our show today. We'll be back next week with an extended preview of the quarterfinals. Greg Lally, thanks a million for your time.
Thanks for having me on.